everybody, it's Rebecca at Design and Adorn. I know that this is early, it's not our time for the show yet, but I wanted to go over a few of the basic skills you'll need to do the Pearl Diver necklace. So the Pearl Diver is a fantastic beginner-friendly project. So knowing that maybe this is your first time doing Kumihimo, I thought it would be helpful to just sort of like preview the different skills that you'll need for the project. So let's start by taking a look at the Pearl Diver necklace that we're featuring tonight. This is Friday, October 23rd, and our show, the shopping show, is going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So let's take a look at the necklace. There we go. So the Pearl Diver necklace has Kumihimo around the back. This is braided with satin cord. And then we have some wire wrapped beads around the front. And the two sections, see, they just keep jumping. They're attached with magnets. So you're going to make your Kumihimo braid, and this is a absolute beginner level Kumihimo braid. And then we're gonna do some wire wrapping and string this up on soft flex. And I'll also show you how to do that wire wrapping. It's easy peasy. But let's start with the Kumihimo. Oh, and then these are peyote stitch end cap covers. Your kit instructions has detailed instructions on how to do peyote stitch. There's also a video tutorial on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube channel for how to do peyote stitch, and we get nice and close up so you can see all the step-by-step parts there. So the first thing you want to do when you open up your kit and you're getting ready to start is you're going to cut your satin cord. You're going to have two little skeins of it. You're going to cut each skein into 4 even pieces. And of course you have written instructions on how to do this in the kit. But you're going to tie all 8 pieces together with an overhand knot. Now some of the kits are going to have all one color. Some of the kits are going to be 2 colors. Just depends on which color you select during the show. So here's my overhand knot. Let me show you that again. An overhand knot. We're going to hold all 8 cords together. Going to make a nice big loop around our hand. I'm going to pull the tails through the loop and tighten it up. And as I tighten it up, I just walk that knot towards the end of the cords. Next, I'm going to get my Kumihimo disc. And if you are working with all one color cord, it doesn't matter which color goes where. Obviously, if you're doing 2 colors, we're going to make them so that we have one color, top and bottom, and the other color is going to be side to side. And again, you'll have detailed instructions. I just want to go over this in a video so that if you're nervous getting started with Kumihimo, you have all the info you need. Now our cords are hanging down here pretty long and we don't want them to tangle up. So we're going to use some plastic bobbins. If you have weighted bobbins, you don't actually need the weight for this project. Like, this is a weighted bobbin for a beaded project. So since we don't need the weights, you can actually open this up and pop the weight out. I'm just going to go ahead and use plain bobbins for my demo. So you open these up by flexing on the dome part, like so. And it doesn't matter which cord you start with, just pick one, find the end. We're going to hold it inside our plastic bobbin, like so. Wrap this up. Once you get it going, you can let go of that tail. Just wrap, 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 and pop it closed. Do this for all 8. So 1 cord per bobbin. Now, these cords that I'm demonstrating with, they're slightly thicker than what's in your kit. It's just because that's what I had hanging out on my work table, ready to go. So in your Pearl Diver kit, you're going to have the 1.5 millimeter satin cord, and when it braids up, it'll take a 6 millimeter end cap, and of course, the magnetic end caps are included in your kit. go, 2 more to go. All right, last one. Now, what's great about braiding with the satin cord, like I said, we don't need to have any weights on our bobbins. We also don't need a center weight. So we are actually ready to go. So here's our basic setup. Let's have a little bit of Kumihimo lingo before we start. The top of the disc is the side farthest from your body. The bottom of the disc is the side closest to your body. And then you also need to keep track of left and right. There are only 2 moves for this braid. This braid is called kongoh gumi in Japanese. Kongoh is diamond, so it's a strong braid, strong like a diamond. So kongoh gumi is going to be top right down, bottom left up. Here we go. So with my right hand, I'm going to take the top right cord, pull it out of its slot, and bring it straight down to the bottom right. See how there are 3 at the bottom there? So no sharing, each cord gets its own slot. Next move, take my left hand, we're gonna take the bottom left cord out of its slot, straight up to the top left. Notice how it went to the left of the cord that's already here. It didn't cross over, that's a no-no. If it starts on the left, it has to finish on the left. If it starts on the right, it finishes on the right. Every time. Now, we're going to turn the disc a quarter turn. It doesn't matter which direction you turn the disc. Personally, I turn it counterclockwise. That's this way, but it doesn't matter. It would be fantastic if you could be aware of which direction you're turning the disc and turn it the same way every time. That way you're building good habits, and later when you're doing more complicated things and you want to be aware of which way you're going, you will be. So from the beginning, while you're learning, try to pick a direction and stick with it. But remember, it doesn't actually matter for this braid. So if you forget which way you were going, you were turning it left and then you turn it right, it won't mess anything up. So no worries there, but I've already turned it, and now I'm going to do the moves again. Top right down, bottom left up. Turn the disc. Top right down, bottom left up. I recommend that you do this with both hands when you're learning. Use your right hand for the right side move and your left hand for the left side move. That helps prevent the accidental crossover. There's another video on our Facebook channel as well as our YouTube channel where I go over in detail troubleshooting, what to do if you make a boo-boo and how to back up. But for now, one of the best ways to prevent mistakes is to use your right hand for the moves on the right and your left hand for the moves on the left. Now, I was talking kind of a bit there. So if you forgot where you left off, we can look here at our point of braiding, and we're looking to see which cords are on top. See how the green ones are on top of the pile? That's because we just moved them. So they're done. Time to rotate. Top right down, bottom left up. And just around and around we go. And this will eventually start growing out the bottom of the disc. It takes a while. Plan on maybe like 2 hours to finish the braiding part. Once you get going on this and you feel comfortable, this is the sort of thing you can easily do while watching a TV show that doesn't require a lot of attention. When you are finished with your braid, and you're finished when you run out of cord. All right, so when one cord is too short to lock in place anymore, when you're finished, you're gonna grab your braid underneath the disc, hold it here, and then pull all of the cords off and tie an overhand knot. So that will look like this. So I have the knot from the beginning, and then I have the knot at the end. And then we need to glue on the end caps. But before we can glue the end caps on, we need to bind this. Otherwise, when we go to cut this, it would start to unravel. So, actually I'm gonna hold it this way. I'm right-handed, by the way. So I like to arrange my braid when I'm doing the binding so that my tails are pointing off to the left. When you order kits from us on Facebook Live, every order is going to come with a little white spool of thread. I'm using blue thread for the demo because it's easier to see on camera. It doesn't matter what color the thread is because it's going to be completely covered up by the end cap. So don't worry about that. But the spool of thread for binding is packed separately from the kit because you get one spool of thread for every order. You also get a little tiny tube of glue, and they're together. So I've cut a little over a foot of thread, and I'm going to stretch it because it's curly when it comes off the spool. And I'm going to fold it unevenly so that there's a long side and a short side. And I have this little loop here. Just a little U-turn of thread. I'm going to place this U-turn of thread on my braid, parallel to the braid, and the loop is pointing the same way as these tails that are going to get cut off. And again, I'm right-handed, so I find it easiest to pinch my braid and the thread with my left hand. I'm going to take the longer piece of thread and I'm going to wrap around the braid. Hold on, I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit more. There we go, that's better. So we wrap around the braid, and notice I'm using my ring finger and my middle finger of my left hand to catch that thread as it comes around. That just helps me control it. And the wraps are next to each other. They're not on top of each other. We're just gonna go around, say like 4 or 5 times. If you lost track of the count, don't worry, you can just eyeball this. We're looking for a binding that's about 2 millimeters or 1/8 of an inch wide. Okay, so I've gone around as many times as I need to. There you go, you guys can see that. All right, now I need to take this working thread, this long one that's been going around, it needs to go through the loop that's underneath my thumb. In order for me to do that, just based on my level of coordination, I need to reposition my hands. What's important here is to not let go of these wraps, right? I'm kind of holding them under tension while I hold my thread here. If I let go of this, it's going to immediately unravel. So I'm going to take my right hand and pinch those wraps as I turn here. And now I can see my loop. I'm going to use my left hand to grab that long tail. Here we go. And it's going to go through the loop. And now I need to pull the tail. So I'm going to switch hands again. Just keep pinching those wraps. Don't let go of them till the very end. Here's my tail. And watch what happens to the loop when I pull the tail. Whoop. Ta-da! When you pull the tail, the loop closes. And there's just a little bit of it left. I'm going to pull the 2 threads in opposite directions to tighten that up. There we go, nice and tight. And then you can put a little square knot or granny knot on here to help make sure it's secure. So, you know, like a right over left, left over right situation, or right over right, right over right. Either way, it doesn't matter, just a little knot there. So there's that. And let me get out my Kumihimo scissors. Snip those threads, get rid of those. Now you're going to do this at the other end of your braid. Typically when you're doing a modular project like the pearl diver, you're going to want to make your centerpiece first so that you can measure it and see how long it is, and then decide how long you want the back of your necklace. Because you're going to bind one end of your braid and then you're going to measure down however far you need to go. You know, like I generally make my back straps around like 13 inches, but some people like longer necklaces, so maybe like 18 inches. You have enough cord that you can actually usually get pretty close to 24 inches if you want a really long necklace. But anyway, you're going to decide how long you want it, and you'll put another binding just like this at that position. Then, when you're ready to put on your end caps, that's these guys here. I'm not really going to glue this on, but I'm going to go over the general concept here. When you're ready to glue your end caps on, you're going to cut off this excess braid. So use your good scissors, and you want to get right next to the binding, as close to it as you can without cutting the binding off, right? If we cut the binding off, that's a sad moment because then our braid's going to start unraveling. So let me just get in there. Whew, look at that. Nice and close. Yeah, super. So when you go to glue, you're going to want to take a scrap piece of paper, your end cap, and I like to use a toothpick. Some people will squeeze the glue directly into the end cap, but I think that that's kind of messy. So you're just going to take a really small blob of glue, like a 6mm size blob, like this bead. No bigger than that bead, because our blob of glue has to be smaller than the end cap. So with a little blob on here, I'm going to use my toothpick to smear this around and sort of drag the glue off the ends there. And when you go to put this on, it's push and twist. Push and twist until you get to the very end, and then let that, oh, it's off camera. There we go. Let that sit for 24 hours. You need 24 hours for that to dry all the way. So that's how you do the binding. I also have another video on our YouTube channel that has a demonstration of that done with a thicker cord. If you had trouble seeing the blue thread I was using, I have another video, and we also go over gluing there. So let's talk about the other essential skill that you are maybe new to for the pearl diver. So the next thing we need to know how to do is how to do some wire wrapping for our beads. So we want all of our beads to have a little loop on the top so that we can string them up. So your kit is going to have beads of different sizes, and they'll be labeled for you, small, medium, large, and it'll tell you where to put them in the pattern. So I'm going to wrap some of these bicones. You can do this with round nose pliers, but it's so much nicer to use the bail making pliers, because that way your loops are very consistent, because the barrel isn't tapered. Right? You can see it's the same diameter, the whole length of it. For this project, we're going to be using the smaller side. This is the 1.5mm side, I think that is. So you just put your bead on the head pin. So actually it's best to hold them so the bead's at the bottom. They're not going to want to stay in my hand where you can see them. There we go, like so. And if you want to be really efficient and somewhat quicker doing this, the fastest way is to do what I'm doing and to put your beads on the pins and kind of like lay them out, rather than bead on pin, coil it, set it down, new bead, new pin, just a little bit assembly line style here. So there's a few of those. I'm ready to go. I'm going to take my bail making plier. There we go. So I'm pinching the end of the head pin. When I rub my finger here, I don't feel the wire. All right, I'm at the very tip of the head pin. And it doesn't matter where you are here, right? I can be here near the tip. I can be down here closer to the jaw. It doesn't matter because they're the same size. What matters is I want to wrap around the smaller barrel. And you'll find doing this which way is more comfortable for you. Do you like to coil towards you or away from you? So the real secret to this is you hold the plier in your dominant hand. So I have it held in my right hand. I'm going to take my left hand. I need to apply some pressure to the wire to hold it as I pull across. So in this demonstration, I'm going towards myself. And that's as far as I can go, right? Wrist only bends so far. And then open the jaw, reposition a little bit. Do it again. Open it, reposition. Do it again. You want the wraps to be next to each other. And in this moment, I'm wrapping towards myself. You guys see that? All right, let's do another one. This time I'll go away. So this time I'm going to put the smaller barrel away from me because I'm going to wrap away. So again, I need to apply pressure with the wire. So rotate as far as you can go and then open the jaw a little bit so you can reposition and get those wraps next to each other. And then when you meet the bead, that's as far as you go. So anyway, those are the two essential skills that you're going to need for putting together this Pearl Diver project. We will also be making some peyote stitch end cap covers, and I have a whole video devoted to peyote stitch. I hope that you will join us tonight for the Pearl Diver Facebook Live shopping party. See you then. Bye.